Hey guys, what's up? This is Jacqueline from the Writers Rampage, and today I'm here with Rodrick. How are you today?
Perfect. How are you?
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'm obviously a writer and author, as this show is. I'm a 52-year-old man that's from Indiana originally, Indianapolis area, and moved to Florida probably about a year ago. And I live in the middle of a 450,000 square acre forest, basically, so in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
Perfect place to write.
I was to say that sounds like a perfect place to write.
Yeah.
So, how often do you write?
Well, there for a while I had a stint where I wrote basically 5 or 6 books in the span of 6 months. So I'm
Wow.
constantly writing. I still have 10 books that I'm in the middle of writing right now. Probably 3 or 4 of them that are actually in progress, and then the rest of them are kind of in design stages. So
Okay.
I write probably. I don't write like some writers. Some writers will say I have to sit down and force myself to write 4 hours a day or however many hours a day. I don't like doing that because to me, since I'm multi-genre, my books have to come as they come. So I'm usually out doing labor in the yard, building stuff, and I do a lot of landscaping. And as I'm doing that, I'm thinking, and then those thoughts come in, and I go inside and write for 2 hours if it hits me. So I try to make sure that it's organic as much as possible.
So, do you often write in the genre that you read in then, since you write in a lot of genres?
See, this a lot of people think that writers read a lot, but we don't because if we're reading a lot, we don't have time to write. So I don't really read a lot anymore. I used to read a lot to the point where before the internet existed, I would have 10 books laid on the floor, especially when they cross-reference each other. Like one author says, this author said that, in a footnote. I would make sure I get that book and make sure he actually did say that, and I open his book up. So um, I don't normally read a lot of books anymore. I'll read short articles or short excerpts of things, but I don't read lots of books. And so right now, I just kind of, I guess it's more of a social thing. Most of my stuff is political, religious, autobiographical. I have a couple of things that are fiction, but not too many yet.
Okay. Um, do you have a research process for any of your books, or do you normally do research or?
Yeah, I definitely do the research, especially since a lot of my books contain historical or political and religious accuracy. So I definitely have to know the subject matter. So I will do research, various sources, and I try to, unlike a lot of books nowadays, because of the advent of ebooks and audiobooks, I try to make sure that as you're reading it, you don't have to go and flip through and find out the footnote or like it used to be in the old books. So you have the endnotes and the footnotes and the really small. I try to put it right there in the text. Some people say that's improper, but I realize if you're a reader, you want to know instantly where the source comes from. You don't have to flip back and forth. So I try to put it right there in the document if I think it's important enough to know have the reader know where that source comes from.
So how many books do you produce a year, or
I
can
have
you produce?
well, I've only been writing for a year and a half, so
Okay.
I've only produced about 6 books. I've been writing ever since I could write. I've always been in doing journaling and things, but publishing, I've only been publishing for about a year and a half. So I have about 6 or 7 books. A couple books I call throwaway books because they were more or less I was trying to figure out how to structure them because I do everything myself. I write, I do the editing, I do the book covers, I do everything by myself.
Oh
I
wow.
do the promotion. So um, a couple of them I call throwaway books because I was just trying to learn. Yes, went through the entire process, but I don't really expect anybody to buy those. So I probably have about 7 books or so
Oh wow. Okay.
in a year's course of time.
So how many words can you write in a day?
How many words I write a day? I would say I get to before I start saying, "Hey, I need to go do something different." Maybe 2 to 3 thousand words a day, which is not very big for a lot of authors. Will say, "Well, wow," because first of all, most books that are about 150 pages are about a two hour audiobook. I want to keep my audiobooks about 2 hours because that's about the length of a movie. Most people don't want to sit around and listen to an audio longer than a
Right.
movie. So I try to keep my books about no more than 200 pages, which is about 25 to 30,000 words.
Okay. Um, that's still pretty good though, for kind of like not really starting out, but just like getting your foot wet into the writing world. Because I've been writing for almost 10 years, and I still write only 1,000 words a day at least. So I mean that's pretty good considering.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't know if I ever plan. I have a few books in the process that will probably be more of the traditional 200 to 350 page book, but I don't plan to do too many of them that way. I always plan to keep them about where they are now.
Right.